Hello, hi, friends and relatives. Welcome back to another episode of The Glorious Mess, where we get messy, stressy, and I can't think of another rhyming word.
Me either.
Blessy.
Blessy.
Yes, as we talked about last episode, we went into religion. So
Yeah, exactly.
Let's honor the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit at the top of this episode. If you were going to create any religion, what would be the deity?
No, I'm so like, it just, all I think is cult and like, I cannot.
Do you ever hear of like the church?
Cats.
Okay.
Actually, that's the one I feel safe about.
Carla's worshiping cats. They're safe. And they're kind of like leaders anyway.
They're
Like,
independent. Yeah.
I did hear that if like you die and you don't feed them, they will eat you.
I've heard that too. They'll eat your eyes, I've heard. I haven't fact checked it.
You're like, these eyes are actually fake.
But like, I believe that they would.
Do you ever remember like, this is be my chosen one, is the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
I've heard of it.
It was iconic. And I think I like that as a deity because it's like so ridiculous. Where
I don't
it's
even
like,
know what it is. Like, what's the flying spaghetti monster?
What is God? You know? These are the questions that
Yeah. And wouldn't people wear like a colander on their head?
Oh.
Or I saw somebody at one point on the
Yeah.
internet, I saw a picture of somebody who I think wore one on his head for his driver's license picture. And I think he was like, oh, but this is my religion, so I can wear it. It's just like, obviously, very slight.
Oh my God, because he's a Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And when you're...
Drain your spaghetti, you have a...
It's all coming back to see. It has so much potential.
So much. You're right.
Well, I'm nervous and excited where we're going this episode. Are we ready to dive into our jar?
Do you want me to go first or you?
Yeah, you go
Me?
first.
Okay, all right. Let's see.
Drum roll, please. Oh, that feels long.
Oh, boy.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's not that bad.
That feels thick, so I'm going to go for something small.
Yes, please.
It mirrors my attraction in life. I prefer small.
It wasn't a judgment.
It's not the size, it's how you use
Just
it.
an acknowledgement, yeah.
Yeah. We won't go. I was like, do we go into anal? No. We won't
No,
go that.
especially me.
Yeah. We don't.
I don't do anal.
No.
No.
That's the hashtag. Follow now for more info. What is your topic?
Okay, invincible rulers who really guide what we know.
Oh my gosh. That book. Yeah. Invisible rulers.
Oh, it's a book. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Invisible. Okay, invisible rulers.
Invisible rulers who really guides what you see on social media, what you get. Who are the invisible rulers who control the conversation?
Mm-hmm.
This I think is yours. Yeah.
I think this is yours.
Is it?
This is yours, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much information is really getting out there?
A lot. Too much?
Yeah, maybe not enough. Maybe not the right information, but then what is right?
Yeah, I think I could just launch right into that.
Yeah.
Because
Go.
I mean, I guess like my age also shows here because my experience is very
22.
much like so like 22 years ago, more than 22 years ago, like when newspapers were the main thing, like that's how most, and I'm thinking news information, I guess, right now, right? There was like the physical newspaper, and then if you wanted to like make a comment, you had to like call or write into the newspaper, and like, you know, it would have to be printed. So there was also this like delay, you know, and obviously not everybody's comments could be printed in the newspaper. So I think that we have more access to everybody's response to everything, just like with social media. I think that's one thing. And then in terms of like what information, that's probably more consistent, like between maybe back in the day newspapers and now, because you've just got the people who own the means of whatever, like the social media, you know, they're going to control the content. Yeah. And then the owners of the news outlets, you know, like they probably have always had some control and continue to.
When it's interesting too, like, how much information is really getting out there? I think maybe when I was thinking about this question, I was like, you might think of like the global injustices that are taking place in the world, that the very life and existence we have here in Canada is solely possible because of the oppression of another people in another part of the world. And so obviously with what's happened in Palestine is horrific. And what I thought was interesting was that everything was centered around what was happening there. And there was some missing components of other parts, like what was happening in Sudan and these other global injustices of harm, and even things that happen in our own country. The continued missing and murdered Indigenous women, Two-Spirit and girls, issues where many women are still missing or have lost their lives at the hands of police systems. And so in the echo chamber of what's popular, and I think it actually must be like written right beside invisible rulers, like who determines what is important, and how do we miss talking about what really needs to be talked about, and also what does need to be talked about.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. Like kind of on the other side of like who's controlling what information gets out there on the news, then we do have actually more access to other information and like videos, just witnessing things like online, like in Palestine. But then like you're saying too, but then there are other similar things going on in Sudan, and based on the people I follow, they are talking about it, but I don't get nearly as much content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you get also people who, I'm like, sometimes people, I'm like, do you even go on Instagram? Or is like, maybe just our Instagrams are super, as we say, woke. But I'm like, how do you just like casually just like wake up and like go through social media? And like, when I think of some of my influencer friends who are like continuing to just like post about like, oh, buy this product, which I think is terrible also. If you tell me to buy a product on social media, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm blocking and reporting you. But
I feel like we're going to start learning more about how much I hate marketing and advertising, because it really does control a lot of like what is seen, and it influences what people will say. Because also like certain advertisers will be like, I'm not going to associate with this content, you know? And so if people want the advertiser more than they want to say what they want to say, it influences what they say.
Well, couldn't you choose during like when like things started first happening, there was like a political sensitivity. There's like a trigger you can put on your Instagram platform. And it's like, I don't want to see political content. And I'm like, what? Like,
so then you're controlling what you see in that situation.
And then, but even are you? Like,
well, yeah, because exactly. Because who's deciding what the political content is and what
like
counts?
It's such a quick little
true.
like. It's like, oh, some people, human beings in this world are suffering at the hands of an oppressor in a very real, palpable way that you can see, and you are choosing to completely not see that thing.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes me like wonder, like, what kind of person are you? Like,
I think that's a lot of people. And like, as well, like even when you're looking at content coming out of Palestine, there's content that is also, it's got the warning, like where you have to click to see it because the content itself is graphic, I guess is what they are deciding. And like people have very different attitudes towards that as well. Like, oh, I don't want to see it. It's too hard to see. And I'm kind of like, well, I mean, it's probably it's harder to be experiencing that. And I sometimes think I have a responsibility, I don't know if that's the right word, but to witness and to kind of it's uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable because it's very bad.
And you should feel uncomfortable. And like what is that emotional response due to how you need to show up? And you can feel people are like, well, I feel like I can't do anything, so I'm just not going to engage. And I'm like, but what if like every day you wake up and you don't know if you're going to make it through that day? Think of that level of powerlessness. And you in your house are like, you know what? I'm going to just click this tab, not see that. And I'm going to go get my pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks, which is fine. I like pumpkin spice lattes. I'm not going to shame you. But like, it's like that privilege that comes in with that is so scary. And so when I think of like what kind of world we're creating where we can be okay and just continue to live as if nothing else is happening, I think it terrifies me and makes me, I always fight for like the in between, you know, the space of like, you have to exist here, I have to coexist here. Radical pluralism.
True.
How do we both coexist? But if your existence doesn't even have any sort of awareness or connection or seeks to actually actively harm my truth, then why would I want to fight for you?
Right, exactly. And I mean, why would I want to engage with you? And I mean, another sort of thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about like waking up and like just choosing to disengage from all of the content to witness is like one thing, but then I wake up and I see it and I still also ask myself some of the same questions like, well, what do I do? Or like, is this enough? Or like, where are my skills or resources valuable? But I also do have the choice, right? To, you know, I'm like, well, I'm waking up and I'm going to work. And, you know, like it is very strange. I mean, also some of this, the right-wing stuff is becoming more real here. What, is there a tipping point where we go, oh, now we act?
Do we switch back? Like, are we just going to go through this phase of like liberal to conservative? And also, are like liberals and conservatives even liberal or conservative anymore?
No.
Like when you look at Mark Carney, I'm like, you're pretty conservative, babe.
Yeah.
But you almost had to be because your predecessor, who's now dating Katy Perry, which is kind of iconic, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, but she's not my favorite feminist.
Do you remember when she released, was it This Woman's World?
I don't know.
It was her lead single from her album. Or it's like This Woman's World or Woman's World. And it's like, this a woman's world and you're lucky to be living in it. No? Okay. I'm surprised I know a full lyric from that song because I didn't like the song. But then like Dr. Luke, who we know, Kesha, like produced it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that same producer, so she writes this like feminist, like, it's a woman's world. And then Dr. Luke is like the producer who we know has actively caused harm to many women in the music industry.
Yeah. She's, I think, fairly disconnected overall. I think the whole going to space thing was just like ostentatious, egregious, and then trying to be like, oh, but like women's power, we went to space. But that's because you could pay.
Funded by this like white man, right? Like I don't think they paid. I think it was like
I don't know.
I wonder if I think it was like a white man's money.
That would
who's
make
just super rich.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of feel like her version of girl power or feminism is not mine.
It's very first wave. Not even.
Yeah, and also like sort of bring it back to Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
His version of feminism might be similar to hers. You know, like he was kind of like, was it like, we're going to the Barbie movie together kind of thing, right? And we're going to take a picture of it. And I was kind of like, okay, it's very performative. And just like in experiencing men in general, you know, like I do find that kind of like that deeper feminism is harder for them to get to. And so it sort of doesn't surprise me
Well, do you remember there was this photo of him in like Parliament Hill, I want to say, where he was like doing yoga? And it was like, oh, a man doing yoga. Wow, he's such a feminist. And then he balanced the cabinet with half women,
true.
half, right?
That's true.
But I think we've talked about this a lot. Like just because there's the phrase, the quote, not all skin folk are kinfolk, right? We talk about like gays for Trump.
Right.
Even if you identify with a particular identity-based like group, that doesn't mean we're fighting for the same thing.
Or you're acting like your behaviors, because also he had a lot of power.
Yeah.
He could have done a lot more, you know, than maybe just like go to the Barbie movie with his kid, his son, I believe. So yeah, I think also maybe thinking about, what you said, but also like, oh, when you have this much power, does that correlate with how much you're changing or what you're doing? Does that make sense?
And two, if you think of like invisible rulers in a different sense, like who actually makes the decision around your photo ops when you have that level of power, right? Like, is it your media marketing team being like, oh, we need to make this choice to brand you this certain way? But how much of this is like, actually you?
And like we don't know, you know?
Yeah, we can only hypothesize. We can only guess.
Exactly.
We can only like assume.
Exactly.
I mean, this is also Justin Trudeau who like did you do blackface?
Yes.
Did you do blackface on Halloween? I did have a friend once. She said she dated him back when he was in university in BC. Yeah, she had dated him for a while, and she said she always thought he was like a little bit queer. Yeah, which I still see it.
I could see it too.
Like when the divorce happened, I would be lying when I was in Ottawa, I was like, I know I'm in a relationship, but like maybe I should download Grindr and like see maybe he's on it. Like would Justin Trudeau be?
Would he show his face?
Probably not.
No.
He chose blackface. He that's terrible. But I don't think he would show his face. I feel like he would. Have you ever heard that app Raya?
Yeah. Oh, he would be on Raya. And
Yeah.
so would what's her name? Katy Perry.
Polyev. Oh. Yeah, Katy Perry for sure. That's how they met.
Yeah, probably.
It's gonna come out, and then there's gonna be a marketing campaign around
Raya,
it. Of like,
Raya.
look at these two powerful feminists who have found love. Join Raya now. Raya.
Raya. I think it's Raya.
Raya. Okay.
I think it's Raya.
You have more. You've been in the dating online pools sooner.
I submitted an application to go on it just to see who was on it. But I'm like nobody, so like they're not going to accept me. But I was like, I'm going to at least submit. And they're just like, yeah, we'll review this. And I haven't checked it in a while, but they still haven't accepted my application.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay, I'm not that sad.
No.
It was really just like one of those moments where I'm like, okay, like I know this is delusional, but it's funny and like there's no consequence. Like I actually don't care.
No, but I think just the idea of like this like higher class like dating platform where we assess who is acceptable like based on a photo. I'm like,
and I think it is also like you can get like references from other people who are on it to be on it. And I think you also have to have like a certain number of like if you have a certain number of followers like on your Instagram or TikTok or whatever, then they're like, oh, okay, like you meet the criteria.
But okay, this comes back to invisible rule. Like the whole idea of like following. Like I can't tell you the amount of people I know who have bought followers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you could just be like, yeah, I'm popular, and then it's like they have 500K followers. That's crazy. But then you're like, look at their like views on their Instagram reel, and it's like 20 views.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you have 500K
and 20 views? Do you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
My brother, for his, like, I guess his best friend's birthday, I believe it was, bought him 10 or 20,000 followers on Instagram and didn't tell him. And they were just like, my brother was just like, oh my gosh, he's going to be so confused. And I was like, that is actually really funny.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
And he's just like, am I going viral for his like one photo on his thing? There's somebody who I know closely, a dear friend of mine who did buy followers back in the day.
Sure.
But they still have that like significant following to this day. And they just are like pretending it never happened.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do they like, I mean, so I guess the fake followers, they stay.
Yeah, I think you have to. I saw a thing actually. It's like a newer thing. When I checked my like followers, people who are following me, I could click and it's like suspected of being fake, and I had like 430.
Oh wow!
And so I just clicked remove all and then
them.
I was able to get rid of it.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're like bots or whatever. Because bots are a real thing.
They're a real thing. Also, I think people just creating accounts to like try to sell something or like. Whatever.
With that, the social media game is hard. I get, and like the desire to want to be on Instagram when it first came out is very different than to be on Instagram today.
It's like Facebook.
Yeah. Oh my God, Facebook?
It's very different.
Were you on Facebook like OG Facebook?
Yeah.
Like,
when you needed like a university email address.
The first ever one. And you'd like write on people's walls, like everyone can see.
No. Did we even have walls at first? I'm not even sure.
Oh my God, maybe you're right.
Because
that's the only way you could message. Because you couldn't message, you had to write on the wall.
Message, yeah. But were you able to write on their wall, or were you able to respond to what they posted? Because the first posts were always, I think, Carla is. You had to.
I had to put is.
Yeah, or it was that was there, and then you had to figure out a way to make the sentence make sense.
With is.
Yeah, with is.
When they finally took out is, it was a game changer. But then you could like reply on. But that, like even like Facebook, like social media has changed so much. But yeah, I'm like when I think about it more and more, like I often talk about like the internet. I think I talked to you about this, internet psychosis.
I haven't heard of that.
Like it's kind of it's a newer studied kind of thing within mental health sciences, but it's like that people are so online and they're not face to face anymore and having these real relationships, which we were evolved to have. And so those kind of delusional thoughts that we all will get in our lifetime, some more than others, and depending on what's going on in your environment. But you start to believe those alternative realities much more because there's a disconnect between some of the, not sensory, but like some of the maybe validation I can get back from this face-to-face interaction.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, like my nerdy side was thinking like there's just a general phenomenon where if we hear something over and over again, we start to think it's true. It's just like our psychology doesn't always, work in our best interests.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of how marketing, works. And I believe how Donald, that person works. I don't want to say the last name.
Yeah.
I think that's a strategy that he uses a lot. And so it makes sense too. If we're like seeing the same things over and over again, we'll believe them. But I think, are you saying more that they start to believe that that's like how real life works?
I think it contributes to the experiences of paranoid thoughts, paranoid delusion, mild psychosis, like
actual psychosis.
Yeah, psychotic episodes that, but more mild on the end of like creating scenarios about people and things that aren't rooted in reality,
right?
Because there's not the same validators of experience that you can have face to face. Interesting.
Is it like based on like relationships they have with people, or it's just scenarios in general?
I think the one paper I read was that like it comes up in different things. It impacts like interpersonal relationships, but it also like impacted perspectives. I guess it's still relationships at work, but also views of self. That was really interesting, like how you perceive yourself, and how your self identity becomes second to your internet personality.
Okay, I feel like part of something that I experience or have experienced with that is starting to see the world through like, oh, this would make a good Instagram photo.
Yeah.
And it's like I get kind of upset with myself when it happens, but also I'm like, but it would, and I'm in it, like that's a version of it I feel like that I've experienced. Maybe not psychosis, but just that taking over of how you interact with the world.
Well, what would you even like, what is the definition of psychosis?
I mean, medically, good question. We would probably have to look that up.
Google it. Let's see. I want to know. I wonder how I'm just trying to think of like how the biomedical model sees like psychosis. Because I'm like, could you actually, anything that's not rooted in reality is like a type of psychosis because it was created in my mind.
But then like imagination isn't.
Is imagination psychosis?
No. I think no, but where is that line?
But why does psychosis, is it because imagination is a positive and you think psychosis is negative?
Yeah, but sometimes that is where like certain diagnoses are like heading towards but in a way that I actually like, where it's like, is this impacting your life?
Negatively, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think of it that way. But like is all like, well, I guess, is like somebody who takes LSD, that's not necessarily a psychosis if you're hallucinating. Okay, so let's see what.
Okay, give me the Webster's dictionary. What is?
I'm gonna try to find like.
You didn't want the Gemini AI at the top that Google gives us all the time now.
No, I want
it's usually
like,
wrong.
but I don't even know if these. Okay, let's use the NHS UK.
Okay.
I guess I sort of.
National Health Service.
Yeah.
I think that's the acronym. Yeah.
Psychosis is when people lose some contact with reality. This might involve seeing or hearing things that other people cannot see or hear, hallucinations, and believing things that are not actually there, that are not actually true, delusions. It may also involve confused, disordered thinking and speaking. So the three main symptoms are hallucinations, delusions, disordered thinking, and speaking. The combination of hallucinations and delusional thinking can cause severe distress and change in behavior. But it still that's still kind of just is
vague.
Vague, yeah.
It's very vague.
But
the tendency though, do you see the tendency towards like that negative, like it's kind of like what you were saying, the negative experience? But then I'm always kind of questioning like who then determines what. Again, invisible rulers of medicine and like the biomedical model in general, who really...
Well, old white men.
Old white men.
And like a history of like, there's one story, again, I feel like, we should be fact checking all of this, but let's say as a hypothetical, even if it didn't happen, like someone admitted themselves as an experiment to like a psych ward and like they weren't crazy, just using this terminology, but like then once they were in, they couldn't convince like the doctors that they weren't crazy, even though they weren't to begin with.
Oh.
So, and I could see
method acting.
I could see that happening because, just like the misogyny, the racism, all the phobias, like that plays into it. But then, like you said, like, what's the definition? What's the line? How do we measure it?
And I think that's the scariest thing, because I think like a lot of Indigenous groups across the globe, I think I told you about that study of people who, I just think I tell you everything. I do tell you a lot of things, though.
Sometimes you don't, though.
Sometimes I don't. You're like, no, I don't think you told me that. But when people who hear voices, right? And so people who hear voices, when they looked at North American studies, predominantly the voices they were hearing were negative. Anger, they were bad. But when they looked at India and their population, a lot of the voices in psychosis they heard were positive.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that so interesting?
So interesting.
And because when you think of other cultures who are more spiritually connected, that there is a sense of ancestral knowledge and wisdom that can come from episodes of psychosis. But
same with like certain drug use that includes hallucinations and maybe delusions. I mean, those can be positive experiences for people too.
And they can be so informative. Like, did I ever tell you I get like sleep paralysis?
I think you have to.
Okay, confirmed. I did tell you that. But like, I always think of like sleep paralysis, like it can be a really insightful experience. Like it's kind of scary in a sense for those of you who don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's like it's like that state between your brain releases a chemical to paralyze your body as you go into the like REM stage of sleep. And so what happens is there's a disconnect. So your body's paralyzed, but your consciousness is still activated. So you didn't quite make it into...
Sounds scary.
It is scary. And so some people tell me like horrifying things. Like they're like, I see demons and da-da, but I never see anything. And so there's been a few times where I just hear like a phrase or a word. And it's been a predominantly positive. I don't like the experience.
Right.
There's no part, but I always know like this naturally will end because the body has a reset feature baked in that it's going to reset either into sleep or into waking, one of the two.
Right. How long does it usually last?
I don't think my perception of time is clear.
Sure.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I would only say a couple minutes at most.
Okay.
Some episodes have felt longer. And then when I went deeper into it, I learned that what happens is if you stress out in that moment and panic, then adrenaline is also getting released, which keeps you in this lucid, half awake, half asleep state that actually takes longer.
I would have thought it would have like maybe gotten you out of it into wake, but like
that's what I thought too. No, and this is only something I just learned like maybe 2 weeks ago because I was starting to be like, I need to look into this more, but because that additional chemical is coming into it kind of keeps you in this like lucid.
I want to know all about it.
Right? This is maybe we'll do a whole add sleep paralysis into the podcast topics. The podcast. Because sleep paralysis is such an interesting thing, I think, that you can go into, and you often in this mental health model and world, I often saw it as a negative. It was always seen as this. And so when I started to reframe it of like, what is the gift here?
Yeah.
Same with my anxiety.
Yeah.
What is the gift here? And sometimes I'm disappointed in how we've seen medicine where it's like.
For sure. And I think these are just interesting questions in general too. If we think about like, hearing voices, because we like have internal dialogues.
Yeah.
Like, but we don't consider that hearing. Sometimes I hear like things in my friends' voices. So I'm like, they would say that, and I'm just like, they would say that to me.
Yeah.
But I just hear it in their voice. And then the other thing I was going to say too, going back to like hallucinations, I feel like we don't often think about like, let's say an LSD trip or a mushrooms trip as psychosis.
Yeah.
Like, so there's sort of like part of it I feel like is like, we kind of know it when we see it, like on average, probably to a fairly correct degree. But then there's that line of, okay, when does this become officially psychosis? And when is, like that's not black. And who decides?
And who decides.
Exactly. And based on what?
And that's the scariest thing about having any sort of mental health experience in this world is we know that the law can, I think in BC we call it Form 10, or maybe that's Alberta actually, but this like, we can put you on a psychological hold.
Exactly. Well,
and
that's
that
the
can be
scary
so traumatizing.
Well, and then also once you're in that, who's making choices? Because
And it's a cop. The cop made the decision.
Yeah, no,
babe,
no, we're not feeling good about that.
I don't know what your training is, but I'm almost 100% sure it's not psychological safety. So
Yeah,
or a lawyer, or the lawyer who has to approve the 410,
right? Or even like anybody having that amount of power over what's going to happen to you, like that's scary. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's the thing. So I think in general, final thoughts for this episode. we went to many places, I think. But I think, again, the importance of being conscious and I think reframing like mental health experiences.
Yeah, or just even like asking questions about them, like what you said about like, oh, this culture experiences it this way and this culture experiences it another way. I think is just a good thing to know, to be like, there's something there that actually isn't always consistent that's culturally related. And
when it comes to using social media and these invisible rulers, something that I do is I intentionally like go in and like President Donald Trump's post.
I don't know.
I do that because then it puts me into different spaces of the internet.
I've been in those spaces enough.
And they're making choice. What do you making choice at the individual level is so important. There's so much information, not enough time, and also so little information.
Or just I don't even know. I don't know if there's so little. It's just like it's hard to know what to pay attention to.
Yeah. But if you come back, I think more than ever, coming back to, your story, for me, kids who grew up in foster care are so important to me because I grew up in foster care. When you can come back to your values and who you are and then decide, okay, what does my story have to do with the rest of the world? And then going from that place, if more people lived like that, I think we would see an entirely different world.
I would hope so.
I hope so.
I would hope so.
And if not, well, we're still going to be here. We're gonna think big.
We're gonna think big.
We're gonna think big. We're gonna continue being gloriously messy. We'll be back with more wonderful episodes. If you want to follow us on the Instagram algorithm at The Only Glorious Mess, and as always, go ahead, get messy, and we'll see you next time.